If you're unhappy with your coffee shots and you need to adjust your grind, you need to understand how your grinder works. Basically, there are two blades inside the collar here, and the closer they are together, or the further they are apart, that will change the size of the actual coffee powder. If you move them closer together, the powder is going to become finer. When you tamp it, it'll all sit closer together, and the water, it struggles to push through, so you make your shots slower. If you move the blades further apart, then the particles come out bigger, and that way when you tamp them, they will sit a bit further apart from each other and the water can come through a bit faster. This will speed up your extraction rate. So before you change the grind, you need to know what results you're getting at the moment with your extraction and what you want to change. The typical grind should feel a little bit gritty without being too soft. If it feels too soft, it's probably too fine. If it feels quite rough like sand, then it's probably too coarse. You can usually feel it and know roughly if you're in the right place. But the best way to be sure is to run your test shots and assess the quality of your extractions. So, when you extract your coffee, you ideally want to see the first drop out of the spout in about 4 to 6 seconds from when you push the brew button. It should look really nice and dark brown at the start. It should have the consistency of like melted chocolate off the back of a spoon. It'll progressively lighten up as the shot goes on into an orangey colour and then into a yellow colour at the very end of the shot. The yellow tells you that the grind is pretty much spent with flavour and your shot should stop. Okay, so if you're running your shot and you find it's running too quickly, so you're getting your 30 mils in less than about 20 seconds, then your grind is probably set too coarse. The water's basically gushing straight through it, it's not really brewing any of the good flavour, and you need to adjust your grind to make it finer. So if your grind is set too fine, you'll find that your espresso takes longer than 30 or 35 seconds to extract. So you may find that from the spouts, it's dripping, it's coming out really slowly, it looks thin and weak, and that just means the powder is pushed too close together, it's too fine, and the water's really having a hard time coming out. You often brew quite bitter and intense flavours out of that, and it's not very pleasant. So you need to go a bit coarser. If you know that your shots are not the way you want them, and you need to adjust your grind, then it's important that you know which way to switch the grinder collar to get the result you need. With this grinder, if you spin clockwise, you'll be making it coarser. If you spin counterclockwise, you'll be making it finer. And you always want to twist in very small increments, usually about 3 millimeters or so. Then once you've twisted the grind to where you want it, you want to turn on the grinder and purge a little bit of powder so that that setting can take full effect. Once I've purged some grind, then I want to run another test shot and see the new result and if I'm happy with it or not. If you're not happy with it, have you at least moved it in the right direction? And if you have, then just make another small movement in the same direction until you get the result that you're after. If your shots aren't coming out the way you want them, you need to understand whether or not it's the dose that needs to change or the grind size that needs to change. So if you load your group handle and you tamp it, and it's either not got enough coffee or it's got too much, then you need to change the dose. If you load it and tamp it and it looks just the way it should, and it feels like it has the right amount of coffee in there, but it runs too fast or too slow, then you need to change the grind size and not the dose. If you tamp and the coffee sits really high in the basket, then you probably have a dose that's too high and you need to lower the dose settings. If you tamp and you end up with not enough coffee in the basket, then you need to increase your dose. When you're changing the dose settings on an electronic grinder, you press and hold the menu button until the display flashes, then select the dose you want to change, usually the double dose, then it will display the current dose time. You can increase or decrease in increments of 0.05 seconds. So I recommend only changing 0.2 or 0.3 at a time, then press and hold the menu button, then run a test shot and see the change that you've made and if you've gotten the result you're after. If not, make another small change and try again. When you're adjusting the grind size, it's the same as a Mazza manual grinder. You just want to make sure you move in small movements, usually about 3 mils. Then you always want to purge and discard a bit of coffee. Then you run another test shot and make sure that you've got the result you're after. If not, make another small change and test it again. When you're adjusting the grind size on the Mythos grinder, you just need to open up the front cover, and the turn dial on the inside shows you that if you twist anti-clockwise, you'll be making the grind coarser. If you twist clockwise, you'll be making the grind finer. Again, always moving in small movements, in this case about 2 millimeters. Those movements will give you about a 3 to 5 second change on the extraction time. Always remember that when you've changed the grind size, you need to purge a little bit of coffee out. So I'll change that. Close the cover and purge. Now I'm ready to run a test shot and see the result that I've got. It's also important to remember on an electronic grinder, when you change the grind size, you're moving the blades closer together or further apart. So given that it's a dose that's on a timer, if you move the blades closer together, you're going to end up getting less coffee pushed through in the same amount of time. So you may need to increase the dose when you decrease the grind size. And vice versa, if you make the grind coarser, you're moving the blades further apart. So in the same amount of time, you're pushing more coffee into the basket and it may be too much. So you may need to lower your dose accordingly. This is a fine balance between those two variables. It's important to understand how they work together.